Do you remember when the Blacklister kneepads first came out on day 1 and the awesome feature that we got with the never-ending stacking 20% amp damage? It was definitely wild times for those few days that the Blacklister kneepads were bugged, running around dealing a billion damage, even your skills were one-shotting everything. It was pretty, yeah, wild times. We are definitely not going to be getting those type of numbers now, but we are still going to be hitting respectably hard with the Blacklister's kneepads because it will amp the damage of our drone, our turret, plus our second drone, aka the companion. And if my previous hybrid skill build didn't tickle your fancy, maybe this one will, as it's focused more on skill damage. Did I just respawn again? What's going on, Dags? If you're new to the channel, welcome to Again Gaming. I'm your host, Nox. Well, my favorite thing to do is respawn. It's definitely not because I'm good. Just so you know, those first few clips that you saw in the beginning of the video were from the day that the Blacklister kneepads were launched and they were bugged. It was patched 2 days later, so you don't have to worry about them being bugged out like that anymore. But for this video, we're going to talk about skill builds and the Blacklister kneepads and how they interact with your skills and your second drone, the companion. And there really isn't much for this loadout. It's just a regular skill build, and we're just going to lean into the Blacklister mechanics to greatly boost our overall damage between shooting our gun, our drone, our turret, our second drone, and whatever other damage sources you got between skills, status, effects, or whatever you have. And when I was testing stuff out, I did notice that the companion did actually proc the tech support when he gets a kill. Yeah, see, normally only procs when a skill gets a kill, but he was for whatever reason proccing it. He didn't benefit from the actual skill damage that the talent gives, but he did proc it. And on a side note, the Eclipse Protocol backpack 30% amp damage also applies to the companion. So just keep that in mind if you're playing a status effect build with your companion. He's going to be hitting a little bit harder as well. Besides what I discovered with the interactions and the loadout that I'm using, there isn't really much to this loadout. It's a skill build. You're pretty much going to play smart, shoot your gun, control your companion or try to control your companion, duck behind cover, and gain XP. And there's no real gimmicks or mechanics besides controlling and actively targeting stuff with your skills and companion. And you could play this build anywhere for any content. You could do open world, control points, bounties. You could do missions on challenging, heroic, legendary difficulty. It doesn't matter. This loadout is going to work fine. And because this loadout relies more so on your two drones and your turret to do the damage, and it's fairly easy to farm for outside the Blacklister kneepads, you have to complete last season's climax missions for a chance for them to drop, or you could complete it on masters for a 100% drop chance. And then the rest of the gear is now super important. You can mix and match, but I'll give you the reasons why I use certain pieces of my loadout later on when I go to the build breakdown. Alrighty, I'm not going to beat a dead horse too much. This loadout works, does a lot of damage. Let's get into the build breakdown. So for this loadout, we do have to go with that technician and get that +1 skill tier because we will only have 5 on our actual loadout, and we'll also get a little bit of skill damage, so that ain't the end of the world. Then for the primary, we're using the capacitor. This thing is a beast. We get damage to armor, damage to target out of cover. Just keep in mind when it comes to the ballistic type of skills like the turret, the striker drone, and the sniper turret, damage to armor, damage to target out of cover, damage to health do not apply to them. I repeat, damage to armor, damage to target out of cover, damage to health do not apply to the striker drone, assault turret, sniper turret. But moving on, the talent competence is really good. It gives you a stacking 60% skill damage boost, and on top of that, for each skill tier we're going to get 7.5% weapon damage. So even though we're on a full skilled build, we're still going to be hitting pretty solid with our capacitor. And on top of all that awesomeness, it also comes with 10% crit chance and 30% crit damage. The secondary, you can use whatever you want. I do like using the mop just for that 10% armor on kill. I'll swap out to this if I need some armor really quick. Sidearm, quick step. You already know, put your Crocs in sports mode, run 20% faster. And the start of the show is going to be the Blacklister kneepads. The talent ostracize is actually really good, especially for skill builds. You're going to want to strategically mark an enemy and be careful with that one because they will do 600% amplified damage to you. But the trade-off is that all damage sources you provide are amplified by 20%. So your skills are going to do that 20% amp damage. And I have confirmed that this does work with the companion. So your companion is going to be doing that 20% amp damage as well. Next, you will want to use the sacrifice because it comes with the perfect glass cannon, 30% amp damage to all damage sources, including your skills. You will take that 60% amp damage, but come on, you're already taking 600%. I'm pretty sure 60% ain't gonna hurt. It's just a tip. And your skills will not take that 60% amp damage to include your second drone. And the reason why I'm using the sacrifice is because that extra 5% amp damage is going to net you more damage than any other brand set. For example, if you get a 2-piece hand of you get the 10% skill damage. well, that 5% extra amp damage is way better. For the backpack, we're going with the Wavering Wear. I went specifically with tech support because I'm lazy and I don't want to shoot my gun every 3 seconds. And tech support does get triggered by your companion for whatever reason. So your companion kills somebody, tech support goes off. But your second drone, the companion doesn't do an additional 25% total skill damage, unfortunately. And finally, for the last 3 pieces, you can mix and match. It doesn't really matter. I went with 3-piece Empress because I do like the skill health, keep my skills alive. The skill damage is nice, and then skill efficiency is really good. Here's the gloves. Here's the holster. And you could see that for the armor cores, I'm running the armor on kill, but you could also run skill haste as well if you are just going to rely only on the mop to get your armor on kill. You could run protection from elite, you could run crit chance, you could run skill haste, but if I was to change these out, I would put crit chance instead. And literally as I finished saying that, I was going to say crit chance would be the ones I would run, and then I realized I'm not running crit chance like I would recommend to run it with, because you're definitely going to want to partake in that 30% crit damage that you get from the capacitor. And if you go over to your stats, we're going to be sitting at 44% crit chance and then 87% crit damage, which isn't too bad. And I'll talk about why that 8% skill efficiency is really powerful for skill builds a little bit later on when I talk about the global modifier, passive modifier skill efficiency that we get. Then we got the striker drone. My mods are doo-doo on this character, so if you got better mods, definitely put on more health. And then for my assault turret, these are the mods I have for it as well. So now let's talk about the passive global modifiers. I play with the companion, aka the second drone. I like playing with them. I don't think the extra double passive modifiers make up for losing a companion. Even if they're not super responsive, they do, do some damage. They do tank. They do have that active that gives you buffs. Plus, you get to partake in all these teamwork actions as well. And with the passive, we're going to get the 15% weapon damage, 20% hazard protection, and then we're going to get 15% skill efficiency. And as promised, skill efficiency is really good for skill builds because skill efficiency includes all of the following. You got skill health, skill damage, skill haste, skill duration, repair skills, and status effects. All of that is covered on skill efficiency, and this is a nice welcome change because the previous seasons they didn't really add much for skill builds. So I'm definitely digging this free skill efficiency. Then for the active modifiers, I'm using Spearhead, and for the traits, you want to find Executioner because the Executioner is freaking broken, especially in legendary content. For whatever reason, he is able to one-shot Chongas, he is able to one-shot Warhounds and tanks. It's not always consistent, but there is a good chance that he's going to execute them because those units, they don't have actual armor, they have health pool with armor plates. And if you read the talent, 20% chance to instantly execute enemies below 20% armor. They don't got armor, they get executed. It's freaking wild. I got a whole video about that if you're interested. And then for the secondary traits, just find one that you like. And if I could, I would prefer to have the 20% command link generation. Talking about that, for my passive modifiers, I am running the priority channel for that 12% command link generation because I do want to actually use the active because it does a lot of damage. It makes them bleed. It leaves fire on the ground. Plus yourself and your companion are going to do that 50% damage to target out of cover. And then for the final 2 passes, I got Adrenaline Rush. And then I got base in position. And this is strictly because I get in cover and I'll send my second drone into cover right in the middle of the fray of the enemies. And when he takes all the aggro, both of these are literally going to keep him alive. I am yet to have my companion go down on legendary content using this strat right here. Alrighty, Dags, let me know what you guys think about this loadout. And if it's something you'll play, it's definitely a whole lot of fun. And if this isn't your cup of tea and you want to do more weapon damage focus, check out my hybrid skill build. That thing is a beast. And if you watch me testing it live, you're going to really see a genuine amazement and excitement when I realize how powerful and good that loadout was. Either way, Dags, if you made it this far, make sure to like the video. Drop a comment below. If you're not yet subscribed, you know what to do. It helps up the channels. That is all for now. Happy farming. Get out there and clap them cheeks.
Alert. Intercepting JTF radio traffic.